When you're raising two kids, one in pre K and one in high school, discipline doesn't look like a one size fits all approach. From toddler meltdowns to teen moods, from correcting behavior to modeling love, we're talking about what it means to discipline with intention, not shame, to love deeply, lead gently, and breathe before you break. If you've ever asked yourself, am I doing this right? This episode is for you. Hey, hey, mama. Welcome to the Solo Mama Show, your safe space for faith, real talk, and motherhood with no filter. I'm Marlene, solo mama of two, walking testimony and work in progress. I believe in messy miracles, soft strength, and the kind of faith that grows in quiet places. No matter what kind of day you're having, joyful, messy, or just plain hard, this space is your reminder you're doing better than you think. Today, we're getting into something that tests our patience, our boundaries, and our emotional stamina: discipline. So, two kids, two ages, two different needs. Balancing age appropriate parenting can feel like switching between two different languages daily. And take it for someone who is bilingual. Used to be trilingual, but it's been a while since I've been fluent in French, so we'll leave that alone. But the reality is, while the 4 year old needs structure, hugs, repetition, and tons of patience, the 15-year-old needs a little bit of autonomy, trust, consistency, and low key, a space that is safe for them to mess up while still trying to find a balance between the two. You're not failing because you parent each child differently. You're honoring who they are. And while that's not always easy, because while the older one, at least for me, we get a lot in my house, Ethan saying, but you let Jagger, but Jagger gets to, and, or one that I've been hearing a lot, which sometimes it's a little bit of a, I'm trying to get my way and this is the right thing to say. But I get the, you love Jagger more than you love me. And I always laugh at that because when it was just the two of us, you got what Jagger is getting times 1,000, right? Because there was no one that I had to split my focus with. But right now, again, the 4 year old needs lots of hugs. They need repetition. They need patience because they're still learning. Lessons that I taught you a decade ago, I'm trying to instill in him now. And so I have to, though for me, I'm like, I've already gone through this. He has it. So I have to have patience with him. And he is just like his brother, super lovey-dovey. Jagger will come and try to give me a hug 1,000 times per day, and ask me a million times per day, am I his best friend? Am I his friend? Am I his mama? And he'll say things that I'm only his best friend and I'll be his best friend forever. And it's sweet and it's wonderful. But then the 15-year-old is side-eyeing us like, but you just told me to hush and go to my room, right? And so it's a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. Just disciplining two people who are in totally different points in their lives, and especially while there's that whole thing. You see it on social media all the time. The memes about the older one having to discipline the younger one because the parent got soft. It's not even that we've gotten soft. I don't think I have. I mean, I get where that meme is coming from because my younger siblings and I are about a decade apart. Um, and me and my brother, the one who is the same age as me, will tell you our mom definitely did not parent the younger ones the same way. But when I say that, and I mean, maybe I'm being a little hypocritical, but I like to remind my son that I parented you the same way when you were in that season. When you were 3 and 4 years old, the patience I had with you was astronomical because the thing about it is I didn't have to switch from being impatient with the teenager that just gave me attitude for no daggone reason to now trying to be soft to a 4 year old. I was always soft with you and you got 100% of my time. And so you don't remember that because you're choosing not to. It's selective memory. You remember things that you want to, right? But the thing about it is that he's learning now. And the expectation is different for the 4-year old than it is for the 15-year old. But it's just the three of us in our home. So while I'm giving all the attention to Jagger and trying to be patient and build structure and show him rules and give him the hugs that I don't even like to give, y'all know me. Y'all know me by now. I am not the touchy feely, lovey dovey, yay, come get the hugs. But the 4-year old doesn't understand that I don't want to give a hug right now. He will probably literally fall on the floor and have a tantrum if I say mama doesn't want to. And he will get sad. He'll actually take it personally. Why aren't you my friend? Um, Mama, I'm sorry. What did I do? And I'd be looking at him like, you did absolutely nothing. Your mama doesn't like to give hugs, but he does not understand that. But then again, while I'm intentionally doing that for the 4-year-old, the 15-year-old has no one to give him the same attention that he needs. He needs a different set of attention, a different level of attention, but still attention. And no matter how much we have mastered multitasking as parents, your undivided attention, right? Because it's literally in the word, cannot be given to two people at once. And so it's that battle of choosing who needs it now. And hoping that the one who had gotten it for the last decade and a half can understand that in this moment it can't be you, but your brother has an earlier bedtime than you, so maybe the moment we put him to bed we can have some one-on-one time. And that's carving out mommy Sundays that are specifically for him, because I can do things with him I can't do with the little one. And especially now over the summer, or sometimes even during the school year, because their schools are on two different schedules. Jagger school doesn't give a lot of breaks, but Ethan's school district does. And there will be days that he'll be home and Jagger's in school, and that's a perfect time for us to go to Top Golf together, go watch a movie. We love to watch us a movie. Maybe pick a restaurant to go out to eat. Maybe just go to the mall, right? And just pick out whatever. It's trying to carve out those intentional times while still teaching him that I cannot parent you, and you cannot expect for me to parent you the same way you see me parenting the 4-year-old. And we have those candid conversations all the time. And I'm like, you're 15, he's 4. What are we comparing right now? And though I know he understands it, I also know that in that moment, that's not what he needs. And in that moment, he does not care, right? Because in that moment, all he saw is that he went for a hug and I said no, but the 4-year-old went for a hug and got it, right? And trying to balance, how to switch. It's like code switching, right? Like all my corporate girlies, you guys know. And when I say corporate, I don't necessarily mean you work in a corporate building. I mean simply you go to work, you clock in, you have a boss, whatever the situation may be, whether you're, in the medical field, in education, in trucking, in law, whatever it is. When I say corporate, I just kind of mean that umbrella. But you guys know how it is. It's you go to work and you have to be this person, and then the moment you get into your car, it's like, whew, let me take off this mask. And that's kind of like what it is with parenting, especially when they're in such a huge age gap, where in this moment I have to be the strong disciplinarian and instantly switch to the soft listener, right? While also not naturally being a gentle parent. It takes intention, and I don't always get it right. I fail more times than I succeed at being gentle, because there's that level of, we've been through this already. One thing about me, whether it's a child, an adult, a coworker, a boss, thank goodness I haven't had too many bosses in my lifetime. But even with that, one thing I don't like is to repeat myself. You heard me the first time. You understood me the first time. Me saying it again, especially a third time, there is nothing that irritates my soul more than that, whether it's my partner, whether it's my kids, whether it's my parents, whether it's a sibling. I said it the first time. You heard me. You heard me. Now, granted, in certain situations, we have more patience, right? I can't quite say that to my boss if I have one, or even when I was the boss, saying that to my employees or my subordinates isn't professional, right? So, though we say it in maybe like a coded way, it is still one of those things that is reality. So, again, for me, it's being intentional with what that discipline looks like. And one thing about it, the type of multitasking only a mama would know is understanding switching from watching Bluey episodes in 1 second to checking on grades in the high schoolers grading system the next. Only a mama understands that level of multitasking because it takes skill. Okay, it's like you're a ninja. Okay, you're switching from one, or a spy. You got to switch from one persona to the next, and we got it down pat. One thing about us, we got it down pat. So something that I am continually learning is the difference between discipline and shame, right? When we are, because discipline doesn't have to be sometimes what you feel. People sometimes hear discipline and they hear harshness, or they hear aggression, or they hear corporal punishment, or whatever. But that's not what discipline is. Discipline is structure. Discipline is guidelines. Discipline is giving them rules and uh, a level of, like, what is the word I'm looking for? Something to achieve, right? Like, discipline is giving them a goal, and discipline means teaching, not punishing. It doesn't have to be a punishment. Discipline can just be just that, a teachable moment. And it's simply correcting behavior, but you can do that with love. You can do that with, you can do that with compassion, right? And it's okay to correct your child without like crushing their spirit. And that is one that it's not a hard lesson learned, but we sometimes forget how easy it is to do that. Where one of the big things that we're still learning, because even from the 4-year-old to the 15-year-old, we're still not getting this lesson, is not interrupting when you hear me having a conversation, whether you think it's a business call or mommy's just hanging out on the phone. Just having the respect if it's not like actually an emergency. And we all know that what they think it is emergency is not necessarily an emergency. To Jagger, him not being able to open his fruit snacks this time around is an immediate emergency. But it's so easy to crush their spirit, and sometimes, especially again with me not being the super sensitive person, it took me some time to be like, dang, I didn't think it was that harsh, but maybe I could have said it a little bit nicer. Like when I say not right now, maybe my tone could be a little bit different, or whatever it may be. But crushing their spirit doesn't necessarily mean that you curse them out or you belittle them. It can sometimes mean that in that moment we didn't give them the attention that they needed, and that was enough. They're dramatic. If anybody deserves an Oscar, it's a toddler. And most of actually, I think I said this before. Toddlers and teenagers, though they're in two very different parts of their lives, they mirror each other a lot. And I don't know if it's just in my household, and maybe it's because, I think after I had Jagger, Ethan reverted to certain behaviors because it was like the battle for my attention. But the super dramatic, everything hurts my feelings and everything is like the world is against me, that the toddler feels, the teenager goes right back into that cycle, in that age between 13 and 16, where all the hormones are raging, and they want that autonomy that they're fighting for, but we also have to parent them, but they don't want us to parent them, though they need us to parent them. And so the whole, my world is falling apart because you said no to me. And it could be something as simple as, Mom, can I go to my friend's house on Sunday? Well, buddy, that we go to church on Sundays. That is a non-negotiable. So no, you can't go to your friend's house. Oh, you never let me do anything. I just crushed his spirit. Was it that big of a deal? No, but to him it was. And the thing about it is that our kids are going to mess up, but how we respond shapes how they see love and leadership. Did I respond with harshness, or did I respond with love? Did I respond with aggression, or did I respond with understanding? Did I give them a listening ear, or did I shut down, whatever it was that they had to say? And I'm not saying that this is easy. Presently, we are going through a trying season with my teenager, and I'm in therapy. He's in therapy. We're trying to figure out, what it all looks like for us. And there's a lot of mess ups that have happened in the last couple of months. Some bigger than others. Some not that, maybe not as serious, but still mess ups. And trying to remember to respond in love and respond in understanding, and not automatically respond in the kid, I'm sick and tired. Ain't you sick and tired? Has been a intentional effort. I'm not even gonna sit up here and lie to you guys like it's just easy breezy, right? Because especially, not that it's their business or that they were supposed to burden them with this, but there is so much going on in the world. There is so much that I had to deal with already today. And to get the third phone call from a third teacher, I'm tired. And maybe I'm not in the mood anymore because, sir, what is the problem, right? But it's working on disciplining without shouting, definitely without shaming, especially without belittling. Maybe I raise my voice every so often. Again, not a gentle parent. I'm working on it. And I laugh all the time. I have never been the most patient person. And God gave me two two things that I cannot get rid of that test my patience every day and make me have to exercise having patience every day. And so sometimes I have to remember not to raise my voice. Sometimes I have to just talk to them. And honestly, when we take a second, when we take a beat and we think about it, just like when I was a kid, if somebody yelled at me, I shut down. I ain't even, because I don't like people talking to me any type of way. I wouldn't even receive it. My kids are very much like me in that way. And I have to sometimes remember that. Like, let me circle back and actually just talk to him and just say what I needed to say rather than shouting. Unless he's upstairs and I'm downstairs, I'm just trying to be heard. But we need to do it in a way where we're not, like, again, breaking their spirit. Because even when you're tired, you have to try to lead with like connection and not control. And that is something that was not modeled, at least not for me. Growing up in a Haitian household, it was be seen and not heard. You did not have opinions. You did not have emotions. You did not have um, your own thoughts and ideas. It was what you were told, and it was that's just what it was, right? And so there is a disconnect between the generations because of that. And I try to be intentional with, like, even on my most tiring days when I see that they need it, just kind of just trying to have like a quick connection. Yes, I would prefer to lock myself in my room right now and just not deal with anybody. But hey, let's sit on the couch and have a family movie night. We might not get through the entire movie, especially if it's like a random weekday. And we have bedtimes and routines. Um, but I want my sons to know that home is where correction comes with love, not fear. I want them to know that this is their safe space. This is where they run to when the world feels too heavy, when everything just feels like, oh my God, I messed up. I want them to always know that they can come to me, that mom, though, because your mama is a little hot headed, though she might rip into me a little bit, I know that I can still come to her, that she will come to my rescue first, then correct me later, right? I need them to know that. I need them to not be afraid to come home and to let me advocate for them. So grace for them actually equals grace for you, right? Because we're going through this. We're parenting in real time and often without a partner to tag in. There is no one for you to call and say, hey, your kid was tripping today. You need to go talk to him. Because you're the you're the caller on the other end, right? It's okay to admit when you overreact or miss the mark. And apologizing to your child does not make you weak. It is actually very powerful. They need to know what it looks like and sounds like for them to know when they are wrong and to acknowledge it. And for them to see that come from you. You would be surprised the reaction you get from your child when, even when they know they were wrong and they probably deserve that little verbal interaction that you guys just had. If you can take a beat and turn around and say, hey, I'm sorry for X, Y, and Z. The light in their eyes is a little bit different. Um, Sometimes you won't know what to do, and that's normal, right? There is no handbook, there is no rule book, there is no play by play. And with each new act of rebellion, there is a new reaction that you have to now figure out. And what I try to always do is to, and what I encourage you to do is, as always, pray through it, breathe through it, and give yourself the same grace that you're giving your kids. Um, we are growing along with them. I'll never get tired of saying that. No matter how long you've been a parent or how much you think you know about parenting, there is always going to be a curveball that comes, and we're learning through it with them. Mamas deserve grace too, especially when you're learning while trying to lead and you're doing it on your own. The fact that you even care about how you're parenting means that you're already doing better than you think. You won't always get it perfect, but love will always speak louder than mistakes. Your strength is in your softness. Your power is in your presence. Discipline isn't about raising perfect kids. It's about raising those loved ones, ones that know that they're loved, that feel that they're loved. Um, Being cognizant of the fact that I want to be a good parent. I want to be as perfect as a mom as I can for them. Being aware of our shortfalls, like, you know, I may have taken that approach the wrong way or whatever. Just even acknowledging all of those things already means, like I just said, that you're doing better than you think. You're doing better than you were taught. You are doing better than is expected of you, because there is this expectation of, or not really, I don't, because expectation sounds more positive than what I'm trying to say. There is this like kind of stigma, if anything, of single Black moms, right? And that is that we are angry, and that is that our kids grow up to be lacking. That is so many things that society will make you believe, but that is not true. The fact that you actually care enough to sit and to reflect and to want to do better and be better and show them better and model better already shows how much further you are and how much your kids are going to learn from that and grow from that. Because again, we are their number one, um, we are their first view of what the world looks like. And that is why also I believe like there has to be like a gray area, a middle ground. I never want to be as extreme a disciplinarian as my parents were. That is never my goal. Actually, my goal is to be as opposite of that as possible. But yet, I cannot be someone that they can walk over. I cannot be someone who is more willing to be their friend than I am to be their parent. Because the reality is, if they go into the world thinking that that's how life is, if they go into the world thinking that there are no consequences for anything, that there are no, that rules are meant to be broken or whatever, might be said out there, the reality is that they are Black boys in America. And if I don't discipline them, the world will. And the world will do it in a way that is not as forgiving and in a way that is not as graceful as their mother would have. And it is a disservice to them. It is a disservice to society. It's a disservice to me. It is just a disservice to God for me to not discipline, right? But you do that with love. You do that with guidance. You do that with positivity. There is a way to do it. And though that might be easier said than done, especially in some moments, where you really do have to take a beat. You really do have to breathe. You really do maybe have to step away from your own child and say, your head and the washing machine was about they were about to meet, but I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to lead with love. And so I am choosing that. I am actively, intentionally choosing that. And there is so much to be said about that. There is so much to be said about being at 100 every single day because you never got a second to release, to breathe. You don't have anyone to tag in. There is no one else to pitch in. There is no one else to leave that's disciplining to. You have to be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and for the rest of their lives, right? Because even when they're adults, they're going to call you mama and they're going to need you for something. And so even with that, when you are at your wit's end and the only thing you want to do is scream, like literally just like scream into the ether, we still have to find a way to gather ourselves and lead with love, right? And respond with patience and to show understanding, right? And so I will never sit here and tell you guys that that is easy breezy. I will never sit here and tell you guys that I do that perfectly every day. That is not my reality. And I don't want to sit here on the Lord's internet and give such false testimony, right? Because if I sat my kid down right now, he would tell you, mama's a little rough around the edges. I'm doing my best. God's still working on me. But with all that, it also comes discipline within yourself, right? Because if I am their example, I have to do better. I have to be better, right? Imagine I have a rule, which is a rule. In my house, you're not allowed to walk around with shoes, period. I, if you follow me on my personal social media on like my Instagram, you'll see that I am a pretty put together person when it comes to my house. I like things to be organized. I like things to be clean. I like things to be a certain way. And that includes the nasty outside germs being walked around on my floor. If I could find a way to have people not wear outside clothes on my couch, I would do that too. But we only have one living room, so there is nowhere else for them to sit. That's neither here nor there. But imagine I have that rule. I say, do not walk in my house with shoes on. When you come in the house, you leave your shoes at the front door, you fix them, right? But whenever they see me, not only have I walked through the entire house, but when I come back to the front, I just kick my shoes off and I leave them anywhere. Now they do it and I'm yelling at them. What did I model, right? If I say everybody has a hamper in their bedroom and there's one in the bathroom, in most of the bathrooms, there is some place for you to put your dirty clothes. I don't want to see dirty clothes on the floor. I make that a rule, right? But every time they walk into the room, there's a bra here, pants here. My hamper it's not even overflowing. There's nothing in it because nothing made it to the hamper. What am I modeling? But yet I want to discipline them. I have no discipline. I say we need to be ready and out the door for church at this time. But they're ready and I'm always the one running late. Right? Granted, as moms, we have more things to do. We have more on our plate. They're just getting themselves ready, but you have to make sure they're all ready. You also have to make breakfast, clean up after breakfast, whatever else. But those are excuses. There are ways for us to make sure that if I say we're walking out the house at 10, that all of us are ready at 10. That is discipline. That is discipline within myself. And when I can model discipline, it becomes easier to discipline them, at least in my opinion. I am not the end all be all of parenting. I, again, 15 years later, are still learning and developing and ripping my hair out every so my edges. I mean, so it's a journey. It's a beautiful one, but it is still one. It comes with twists and turns. It comes with humility. It comes with heartbreak. It comes with so many things. But if we do it right, if we find a way to shepherd them correctly, later on, it won't be right away. But at some point, you'll be able to take a breather and say, I did it. I have raised some well rounded, amazing humans that are contributing to the world in a positive way. And that's because I didn't let them run rampant with no rules and no regulations and no sense of right or wrong, right? Um, and figuring out what that means for each individual child. Because even if they were the same exact age, even if they were twins, each child needs something different. One child is going to be that wild one that needs you to be a little bit more stern, and the other one is going to be the soft, gentle one that cries every time you say, every time you look at them with that, that look that black moms give. You look at them that way, and they run and they hide and they cry. Right? They need a different level of discipline than the one that's jumping off the walls and it could give a dang what you say. And more power to you. And if you have more than two, because and they're all a different breed and they're all a different level of crazy. And then lucky y'all, the ones who only have one, and they probably, what, and what I've noticed is sometimes the one that have one is a mixture of all, and so they keep you on your toes anyways. But it's figuring out what it looks like for them and meeting them halfway and meeting them at the place where you can break through, and still honor your journey as a mother. Isaiah 66:13 says, as a mother comforts her child, so will I comfort you. If this episode encouraged you, send it to another mama navigating different ages and different stages. And remember, you've got this. Thanks for tuning into the Solo Mama Show. As always, keep your crown high, the snack stocked, and I'll see you next week. Follow, share, and stay lifted, mamas. Love you. Bye.